Hello and welcome to another episode of Bare Bones Wargaming, a show with no bells, no whistles, no frills, just a man, a camera, and his game. This episode, I know it's been a while since I visited y'all, but this episode, big change here at Bare Bone Wargaming headquarters. First thing is we are going to say goodbye to my old gaming table. We'll meet again, don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. Actually, my wife and I are going to use this space to leave games set up like History of the World, so we can just bend down and play a turn tonight. So what are we doing? Why is it retiring? Why is it being reassigned, if you will, to use military terminology? Well, because we're moving on up to a new tabletop, to a deluxe gaming space in the sky. Alright, this of course is my new gaming table. Try and get a good shot of it here. So as you can see, I just got this anniversary present from my wife. Yes, my wife is totally awesome and I married well. So as you can see here, there's trays, there's cup holders, which I don't know what I'm going to do with them because I don't allow beverages near my games. But this is a gaming table. I did this on Kickstarter. It came today, got it all assembled, and we're ready to christen the new gaming space with, appropriately enough, I feel, since giving my partial Polish background, we are going to christen it with White Eagle Defiant, Poland, 1939, from Hollenspiel, designed by Ryan Heilman and Dave Shaw. Now you may recognize those gentlemen. They're the ones that did Brave Little Belgium, and this system is very similar to that. So let's go ahead and let's get set up here with our new gaming space. And I do like this gaming space. It's really cool. There's going to be just let me quickly show you over here. There's going to be space for dice towers. They're coming next month, but like here you can pop these off and put things in. As you can see, I put my dice tower over here rather conveniently, so that's kind of nice to do with that. And then of course I can always, in this nice metal cup, banish any dice that are not on the ball, so to speak, not up to snuff. Okay? Alright, here we go. So, we've got White Eagle Defiant. One of the more difficult military situations to simulate when it comes to military history, the invasion of Poland. So, again, if you've played Brave Little Belgium, you will notice a lot of similarities here. There are some new wrinkles, some different things, which we'll get into as we go through the game. So, let's dive right in. This is a chit pull game. So we have our cup ready over here, and we are ready to roll and get started. Now, the first turn of the game, you always start with the German Army Group North, chit in play. And I'm going to go ahead and put them down here as I pull them. Okay. Of course, the German objective is to achieve at least 9 victory points by game turn 8. Every single time the Germans capture a victory point space, which are, let me go ahead and zoom in here for you real quick, there's 2 different types of spaces in the game. There are the gray spaces, which are regular city spaces, and then the ones that have the red outline with the white, those are victory point spaces. Every time the Germans win one of those spaces, we'll take one of those orange cylinders off the track and put it on the game board. As that goes on, we can trigger off, of course, Soviet intervention, which is interesting to me to think about because I read Stalin's War recently, which, by the way, I highly recommend. And the author was very scathing, quite frankly, about Western attitudes towards the Soviet Union, especially given what they did to Poland, what they did to the Baltic states, and being Finland, and being like, we always swept under the carpet is absurd. But that's another story for another time. You can debate among yourselves if you wish on that. However, point being is the Soviets can come into the game, but the Germans have to be careful because the Germans then have to watch to make sure they get on their side of the stab line, if you will, that divides Poland into its 2 chunks between the 2, well, let's just be honest, savage, brutal dictatorships. Two sides of the same coin, fascism and communism. I mean, that's the truth. So, let's go ahead and get started, and we'll go through the rules as we go. Now, every single time that you pull an activation chit, the first thing you can do for that particular activation, and of course you can only activate the units that are the same color, so we're going to be activating units from Army Group North, which are green. You can, if you want, use your recovery marker. Now, if you choose to use your recovery marker, you can flip a damaged unit to its full side. Once you've done that, then the counter will stay on its side that says recovery for the rest of the turn. That can only be used once per turn, not once per activation, so keep that in mind. So for example, if the Germans use it for Army Group North, it will not be available for Army Group South. For the Germans, it's not as big a deal because they don't have that many activation chits, but Poland has 3 of them. They have North, Central, and South, so they have to make their choices a little more carefully, not surprisingly given the situation. Okay? There are a couple other first turn rules that you can't do. There are a couple of units here that the Germans have in both North and South that cannot move during the first turn, and Poland cannot boldly go into German territory. I mean, you'd like to. I mean, I thought about it first turn. Actually, when I did my clunker play, I kind of forgot that rule, and I lunged into Germany. I'm like, yes! And I'm like, wait, no, I can't do that. So, I mean, I'm sure that with my Polish heritage coming out and being like, you know what? Here, how about I smack the stupid out of you guys? So, can't do that, at least not on the opening turn. So that's the 2 big no-nos on the opening turn. Okay. Now, once you draw the activation pit, if you choose not to use your recovery, then you can go ahead and move your units. Movement's pretty simple. Movement is done along the lines from box to box. A solid line like this means 1 movement point, and the dotted lines here mean 2 movement points because this is a little bit rougher down here with the Carpathian Mountains being in this area. There are 3 different types of units in the game. Well, 4 technically if you count forts, but as far as units that can move, you have... oh no, wait, I take that back. There are 4 different types of units. You have armored units, armored recon, infantry, and cavalry. Now, infantry can only move 2 spaces. Everybody else can move 4. The stacking limit per space is 4, but you have to be careful. This is where it gets a little tricky. You can have up to 4 units in a space, but when it comes to stacking, no more than 2 infantry can be there, and only 1 unit of each type that is non-infantry. So for example, you could not put in the same space ever 2 armored units. You could put armor and armored recon because technically they're considered 2 distinct units. You could put armor and cavalry, but you could not put 2 cavalry. You can't put 2 armored recon, you get the idea. So you do have to be a little careful as you launch your initial assaults here. Okay? And just like Brave Little Belgium, there are event chits, which of course can help your combat as you go through the game. Alright, so first turn here, we can go ahead and move some folks around. So let's go ahead and we'll do that. We'll go ahead and we'll move 1, 2, let's just go wild. We're going to go ahead and strike Poznan, and these guys will stay here because they have the black dot on them. They cannot move this turn. And then the other thing I'll do is I will send these 2 guys. I'll leave 1 behind, but we'll go 1, 2. This is Danzig, of course, which was captured early in the day on September the 1st. And we'll go in here and try to capture the fortress that's up there as part of the Polish corridor and kind of cut that corridor off from the Poles. Okay? So, movement's done. Now we do combat. Now, combat is pretty much very similar, again, to Brave Little Belgium. There's nothing here that's going to be earth-shattering. If you have played Brave Little Belgium, you'll be able to pick this game up lickety-split. There's just a few subtle differences to them. Okay? Now, there is a combat chit to mark things, but I love my glow-in-the-dark nuclear war die. So we'll go ahead and we'll mark here. And we'll get ready for... Oh, that's a great idea. We'll get ready for combat here between the 2 sides in that space. So let me go ahead and move you here a little bit. And we'll come down here. See, these trays are going to be awesome. Look at this. Alright, now a couple things here about combat. Combat is, again, like Brave Little Belgium. You have to roll that number or greater. Okay. Now you can see there's a couple things here. The cavalry units for Poland have a little horse icon on them. That is to remind you that they get to roll first. That's right. You didn't. You shake your head. You go blah, 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 if you want. But that is what the rule says. They get to roll first and put their damage on first. Right? Now, the German unit here you can see with the red, the armor. The red is there for two reasons. Number one, to indicate that you get to roll 2 dice for the attack. That's the big thing. Now, if you roll a 5, let's say you roll a 5 and a 1, you will get a hit. If you roll doubles of that value or higher, like in this case 2 5s or 2 6s, you will inflict 2 points of damage upon the enemy. Except for the Polish cavalry, everything else is simultaneous. So let's get those Poles going. Here we go. Ah, they rolled a 4. Well, that's no good. Alright. Let's see if that infantry unit can do a better job. They need 4 better. Come on, baby. Ah, it's a 1. Alright. Here come the Germans. Alright, we'll do the armored unit first. 2 dice. Oh, look at that. Little foreshadowing there. A 5 and a 1. So they only need 1 to get a hit. So now they will be able to inflict 1 hit upon the Poles. Now we have 2 infantry units there that need 5 or better. And they both missed. Okay? So, the Poles will take 1 hit. Now some units only have 1 step, like the cavalry unit here, so I'm going to take it out of the infantry unit. Now again, just like Brave Little Belgium, pretty much the combat rules are the same. If whoever inflicts the most hits, that's the side that will be able to stick around. The other side will have to retreat and withdraw from there. Okay, and the retreat rules about overstacking and retreating through enemy spaces, taking another hit, which of course in this game pretty much is going to wipe you out, unless you've got a stack of 4 units, obviously, to retreat with. Well, even then, actually, I think every unit takes a hit, if I remember correctly, from the retreat rules. I haven't had a lot of retreats in this game that have been through enemy territory, but that could just be I'm just not a very good operational strategist, operational planner kind of thing. But anyway, so the retreat's very much the same. It's very similar. Again, if you played Brave Little Belgium, you're not going to find much here to surprise you. Okay, so the Poles took the hit, and now they'll have to retreat. So we'll pull back here towards the center with the Poles. Let's get back up on the map here. So we'll pull back up towards the center. The Germans will capture this space, and when they capture a space, you take a marker off the track to show that they have indeed captured a victory point space. Okay? Once you get up to, I believe it's 6 victory points, if I remember correctly here. Just give me a second. I played this a whole bunch and then I kind of put it aside because I shifted gears again. Yeah, once you get up to 6 victory points and it's turn 5, as you can see, if you look way up here, then you may add these Soviet markers, and then of course the German player gets to move the Soviet forces. Okay. By the way, if you like this game, or if you're kind of on the fence about it, and I will admit I haven't tried this yet, but on Board Game Geek there are several other scenarios where there's full Polish mobilization, another scenario where the Western Allies are a little more aggressive, that kind of thing. So you might want to look into that, depending on how much you're interested in this topic and how much you like this system. Okay? Alright, so combat is done there. Now we got to go to our second combat space, which is up here. And again, if there's a fort in a space like this, if there are enemy units there, you must inflict damage on the enemy units and wipe them out before you can have a chance to wipe out the fort. So this fort's not that big, it only gets 1 die. Most of the forts get 2 dice. Oh, but it's a winner, it's a 5. So cool beans there. And let's see, the German Panzer is a 6. Ooh, that was almost deadly. They got a 6 and a 5, so that was almost 2 hits. Yikes. And then the infantry, well, actually, you know what? The infantry, oh, duh. I had the fort on the wrong side. Oh, boy. It's been a long, long, long day. I'll just say that. So just bear that in mind with me. Oh, I did that to all the forts. Look at this craziness. I didn't do it to the German forts. Yeesh, what am I doing to my... Oh, well, actually, I didn't do it to this one either. What am I doing to my kin? Ah, so the Polish didn't ever die. Hang on. That was a 2, so it doesn't matter in the end. Alright. German infantry, though. Oh, they got a 4. So they're able to inflict 2 hits. That will destroy that Polish unit there. Oh, see? Found a use for the cups. So they have been defeated. The Germans take a shot. So the Germans will take a shot with that infantry unit there. But they are victorious. Now, you can advance. But again, the advance rules in this game are super strict. And super difficult to achieve. You have to have a 3-to-1 advantage, which we didn't. We only had a 2-to-1 advantage. You have to wipe the enemy out. So there's a lot of things that have to go on there. So the Germans did manage to capture. This is a pretty good start for them, by the way. That spot there. And now they've got 3 victory points right out of the gate. Phew. The Blitzkrieg could not have gone better. Alright. So let's get into the Almighty Cup now. Whoops. Oh, somebody's got them out. And what did we pull? Ah, speaking of Blitzkrieg, again, there are event chits in this game that when you draw them, you just set them off to the side until during an activation, the side may go ahead and use those events. Alright, and now we've drawn the Polish Army Group North. Well, northern units, however you want to put it. I mean, I guess I just kind of use Army Group all the time. Okay, well, remember, we can't cross into Germany. So that's not good. We can't really recover because we didn't really take any shots yet. So I think for the time being, we're just going to sit still with the Polish Army Group North. Then again, part of the appeal of this game is the chit pool, because you just don't know what you're going to pull and when. Oh. Alright, so now we pulled the central one for Poland. Okay. Let's see. Well, now I could use my recovery chit to help these guys that took that shot when they got pushed out of Poznan. And so I think that's what I'll do. Now, if you notice here, these guys, there are a couple of Polish units that have numbers on them on the back. Those are the ones that aren't at full mobilization whenever the invasion begins. So they're not eligible for recovery until they've actually reached that turn, and then they flip over to their full strength side, and then you can use recovery on them in a later turn as a normal unit once they reach that status. So we'll go ahead and use our recovery marker for Poland. So we're going to flip it here. We'll flip these guys back up to full strength. And of course, if a unit does recovery, then it cannot move, it cannot fight during that turn, which, you know, again, pretty straightforward stuff here. Not trying to set the world on fire, but again, this is a game, spoiler alert, that I enjoy, and it's a topic that's hard to cover, of course, but it is one of those great filler games, which is why I got it. Just like Brave Little Belgium, we have the end-turn games, okay, and just like Brave Little Belgium, the Germans can press their luck. My kid, when we were on vacation, my oldest kid, my 5-year-old, he watched that with me. I didn't realize they had a revival of it on, I think it was ABC we were watching. And he had never seen it before. So, of course, the whammy thing he thought was hysterical because he's 5.5. So, you know how that is. Alright. We've got, oops. Sorry about that. Slipped out of my hand. We got the Luftwaffe. So we'll send the Luftwaffe aside until we can use it. And, of course, if you do choose to use a chit during movement or combat, especially combat, you can only use one. You could not use like both Blitzkrieg and Luftwaffe. Oh, here we go. Wow, sabotage! So we'll see. Maybe I can use that on Army Group South, keep them from going too far this time. Speaking of the Luftwaffe, here's the Stukas. that are available. Oh, another intern. So time is running out. Oh, another one for Poland. This one is the armored train. So you can use this only inside of Poland to give a +1 to the die roll for any hit numbers in a single combat. Of course, the JU-87s do that for any attack. Luftwaffe can be helpful either with interdiction or fortresses. And the Blitzkrieg can, and I like this about the chits, it tells you right on the back when you look at them here. So like here, the Blitzkrieg, +1 to attack, but not forts, automatic advance if you do manage to clear the space out. So, alright. Army Group South. Alright, here we go. Now, this is where I get tormented by this game because, see down here, this blue unit, these are Slovaks, which I'm partly Polish and partly Slovak. I don't fight with myself too often, but every once in a while. So, that's kind of annoying. They are brown colored, so they move with Army Group South. Okay. However, I'm going to try and slow them down by playing the Beastie Boy chit, Sabotage, which takes 1 movement point off each unit. So that will basically freeze the Slovak unit here, because as you can see, all these lines are dotted, so they won't be able to move at all. And the Slovak unit is also restricted to moving no further than 2 boxes away from its starting point. Now over here, this will slow down the Wehrmacht as well too, and keep them from causing too much trouble in the opening turn. Okay, although there are still going to probably, elements could get over there, but the question is, do they want to do that? Now, if you have units enter, like for example, if I were to take this armored unit from this box and this armored unit from this box, they would not converge together to attack. One of the units, one of the paths that the units are following, you must declare as the assault path, basically. The other path is the support path. So basically, this is important. If you manage to clear a space, then the units that can advance would be the assault units, and then your support units would move into the now vacant space and basically secure your lines of communication, if you will, and of course be ready next turn to move and strike at the enemy. So, with that in mind, since infantry can only move 1 space, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try and be a little bold here. I'm going to go 1, 2, race those 2 guys into there, and then let's see, the infantry, I'm going to move 1 into there, try and keep some pressure, dun, 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 dun. Send 2 that way, and then I'm going to send these guys, I think I'll send them here, because I might send them over this mountain path next turn to try and strike at Krakow before the Polish southern forces have a chance to really get themselves together, so to speak. Okay? All right. So, we do have a battle. And the Germans, of course, didn't have anything to do recovery-wise because, well, there just wasn't anything for them to do recovery-wise. They haven't really taken any losses except Army Group North. All right. So we'll go ahead and strike here. Now I can use the Stukas, which will give me +1 to any 1 combat. So I will use it here with the fort. All right. Polish fort. 2 dice. Here they go. Whoa. That was interesting. Well, we got a 3, and then somebody went running for it. Ah, 3 and a 1. That's no good. Alright, the Germans getting +1 to their die rolls here with the Stuka. And starting with this very powerful 14th Panzer. Oh, that's brutal. +1. Oh, that's really brutal. So +1 for the Stukas. I rolled a pair of 3s. So with the +1s, it'll turn into 2 4s. And since it's a Panzer unit, 2 4s equals 2 hits. Ball game over. Whew. That was rough. So, down goes somebody else. So, Katowice has fallen. And we take another control marker. off the map. So, man, whew, the Germans are flying. I've never had them do this to this point. I mean, they are just, it is an effort fly. And they're wired for sound. They're rolling big time. Whew. Okay, so this is not looking good right now with Army Group South. So even though I managed to slow them down in movement, it's still a mess. All right. Oh, that was stupid. I should have used the Polish Army train. Oh, end turn. So it's almost game over. But to be honest, you probably can notice in the sounds. Oh, shoot. The Polish southern units are not going to even have a chance to do anything this turn. Sugar, sugar, sugar. Alright. Well, that's the way it goes. Sometimes you eat the bear, sometimes the bear eats you. Well, the bear is coming. But anyway, we'll worry about the bear later. Alright, now, if the Germans do not draw both of their army group chits, then much like brave little Belgium, there is a track here. This is called the Blitzkrieg Breakdown track, where you can press your luck. And, of course, if you roll a good die roll, everything is fine. You just activate the forces as normally. If you roll a not-so-hot roll, then you're going to have a major issue with not only moving that track along, and if it reaches 5, the Poles win. Because basically, I mean, I've seen some comments people have made, like it's artificial and things. I see it more as a time issue. You know, because most of Poland was pretty much knocked out within the first couple of weeks. Warsaw held on until around the 27th, if memory serves correct. But I think the last Polish resistance ended sometime in early October, if I remember. So I think the whole idea of the Blitzkrieg breakdown, I don't think it's artificial. You could say it's maybe unlikely. But I think the whole point of it is to basically represent that it's taken too much time, as it were. Okay? And of course, you know, if it takes too much time and seems to get bogged down, well, you know, it's not as impressive. You know, to friend and foe alike. You know, my candle burns at both ends, it shall not last the night. But my friends, and my foes, it gives a lovely light. It's nothing like that. So that, to me, is what it says. So now, the Poles, unfortunately, do not have that option. So, like, I didn't activate the Southern Polish forces. Too bad, so sad. They just didn't get it together on that opening turn. Sorry, guys. Alright, so at the end of each turn, once you pulled all the activation chits, you have the cleanup phase. Cleanup phase is we take all the activation chits that were used that turn, or I should say at least drawn that turn, and we put them back in the cup. And the only time you choose one is that very first turn for Army Group North. Okay. The other thing we do is we flip the recovery markers over to their other side, so now they're available again for the next turn. And speaking of the next turn, we need to move the die along here. There is a flat marker for the turn advancing, but when those orange markers are there, which by the way, I've never had them go away that fast. I guess maybe I'm getting better at this game with the Germans. It's hard to see, so that's why I'm using this blue one. Now, the other thing we need to do is if there are any Polish units marked with a 2, which there are a number of them, we flip them over to their full strength side because they managed to mobilize. So way up here in Wilno, we'll have that. And then down here in Warsaw, we've got 2 units that will flip to their full strength side, ready to defend Poland to the end. Alright. So now we're ready for turn 2. And we'll just start pulling chits again, right off the bat. And the first one is Blitzkrieg. So, good for the Germans, they pulled that one so early. Ah, and now armored train. Good for the Poles. Speaking of the Poles, Central. Now, of course, it's turn 2, so the restrictions are lifted. I could attack German units if I wanted to in Germany. Situations look a little dicey, no pun intended. Let's see. Should I try to counterattack? There's a part of me that wants to counterattack. I gotta be honest about that. See if I can inflict some damage on the Germans. But the only way the Poles really get any super damage on the Germans is if up here they manage to destroy these German forts that cost the Germans a victory point, which can be extremely costly. But of course, I didn't pull north, I pulled central. Otherwise, I could go ahead and make a lunge into there, into, oh, what is it up there? Lutzen, and try to bash my way into there, but I just can't quite get there yet. So, alright. Gosh, I hate to be passive. It's not really in my nature to be passive. Whoop, I forgot to flip these guys. Sorry about that. Screw it. Let's do it. So we'll counterattack here. And I'll bring these 2 units from Warsaw down to cover Lutz. And we'll go ahead and battle there. Because obviously I chose not to use my recovery because I really didn't need to. So, let's see if I can destroy this German infantry unit. Now, the Germans could use the Blitzkrieg thing, but I mean, it doesn't make any sense to, so. Okay. Now, of course, we do have Polish cavalry, so they will get their free shot. Ah, it's a 1. Yeesh. And then, of course, my Polish infantry. Ah, they rolled a 3. What is going on? Guys! The Germans rolled a 3, so nobody got any hits. Alright, so basically if the hits are equal, let's see. The attacker must retreat. So we got to go back where we came from. Now, of course, that could be a little tricky. Let's check stacking here. No, it's okay. I've got 1 armor, 1 cavalry, and 2 infantry, so I can stack everybody into there. So much for trying to kick the Germans out. Yeesh. Hokey spoons. What are you doing? Okay. Jeez, this Germans pulled the Stuka. Oh, and now they're going to get to activate Army Group South. This time, unfortunately, I do not have the sabotage. I wish I did. Alright, so Army Group South. I'm going to send these Slovaks into here. Try to bash my way into there. And then, let's see, what do we got here? I've got 2 infantry and an armor. We'll go ahead and blast our way into there. And then, let's see. Alright, so I got a recon and armor there. And I've got infantry here. I'm going to stack up the infantry there. I'm going to move this infantry 2 into here, which is still in stacking limits. And then that way, next turn, I can take the balls of those forces and strike at Lutz and try to capture that victory point city. So we'll see if we can get some serious damage done here with these forces. Alright, so we got the Slovak forces down there up against the southern Polish forces. Let's see, a 4 and a 1. Nobody did anything, so when hits are equal, the attacker has to retreat. Got a bigger battle, so I'm going to go ahead and move those off. I didn't move those guys because that was kind of a tiny battle. Really didn't feel the need. But this, on the other hand, Krakow, this is going to be a significant fight. So let's see what's going to happen here. Come on, Poland. Gotta get our act together. Alright, cavalry gets to strike first. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and play my armored train. And the Germans will play their Stuka. So everybody's getting +1. So here we go. Cavalry. Oh, God. I rolled a 1. You gotta be kidding me. Alright. Polish armor. Hey, that's better. There's a hit. And then Polish infantry. Also a hit. Good. Put 2 hits on those no good dirty Germans. Alright, the Germans. Now, unfortunately, they have their elite armor units that they're using here. So this armor in the south for the Germans is a killer. Huh. Well, good news and bad news. Rolled a 3 and a 1. So with a +1, that is going to get them 4. They will get 1 hit on my beloved Poles. And now the 2 infantry units. Ooh, they got 2 hits too. Shoot. You know what that means? That's 3 hits. Which means, of course, we're the ones that are going to have to retreat here in a moment. Crackers. Alright, so Stuka and Armored Train are going to get moved down here onto the track. They have been used. For the Germans, I'll flip the 2 infantry units. For the Poles, I'll flip 2 units. I hate to lose the cavalry, but I guess we're going to do it. Shoot. Here comes that bad sound. Ready? Y'all listening? Because, of course, that's another destroyed unit. Alright, so with 3 hits, that means the Poles must retreat, which they will do. And, of course... Oh, shoot. If I'd have been using my head, I should have pushed the Slovaks here, rather than having them attack. I should have pushed them here into Tarnow, and then these Polish units would have been destroyed too. Duh! That was slick. Yeah, some days are better than others. What can I tell you? Alright, so Krakow has fallen. So now we're up to 5 victory points for the Germans already. Whew, this is bad, man. They're already basically ready to let the Soviets come rolling in. Oh, alright. Let's finish this. Let's just finish this sad, sad turn. Oh, end turn. Well, that'd be nice if we got the other end turns before Army Group North. Hopefully I'll get the Polish northern one, because then I got to make a lunge for one of these fortresses. I just have to try. Oh, sabotage, so I can slow down the Wehrmacht. South. Alright. Well, I could do recovery, but then those guys would be sitting ducks next turn if I pull Army Group South first. I could retreat them and take them back to Laval over here, but of course when the Soviets come into the game, then that's going to be a separate problem. But we'll just be defending a victory point space. That's true. The only problem is if I pull those guys back, then I'm basically going to leave the southern part of the center of Poland wide open for the Germans to come up through here. Although there aren't too many connecting lines here. You know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead, because I've noticed in my other games the Polish southern forces get wiped out in a hurry. I mean, it's just bad. Alright. So, 1, 2 into here. We'll drop off that infantry. Armor can move here. And then we'll have that other infantry holding on to that victory point space. Okay, give me the good north, you guys. Oh, you gave me the Luftwaffe. Yeesh. I got the bad north. The Gen north. Alright, now, for the Germans, I want to get over and try to block any kind of Polish adventures. Because if you noticed, I took a little bit of a gamble with the Germans. I left Danzig wide open. So, I mean, if the Poles had gotten their northern one pulled first, I could have moved straight into here and eliminated that victory point control. But that didn't happen, unfortunately. So I think I'm going to play the German recovery chit here. Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and fix these guys. Get them ready to roll. I'm going to take this armored unit and go 1, 2, 3 to help the fort there. And then I'm going to take these guys and go 1, 2 and block there. Oh, I should have probably used the sabotage. I don't think it really helped. But again, I can use it later anyway because the South's already moved. So, okay, so no attacks this time, I don't think. Well, I got these guys down here. Pause now. I could go ahead and advance them. Yeah, you know what? Let's see if we can crush these Polish forces here. And just rip the whole center open here on the second turn of the game. Might be able to. Gotta tell you, I'm loving these new trays, by the way, on the table. It's so nice and convenient to put the dice down, put the combat forces down. Alright, I don't have anything here. The Germans do have the Blitzkrieg, so they're going to go ahead and use the Blitzkrieg against my poor Polish forces. Polish cavalry gets to attack first. Charge! Ah, oh, geez, really? It's a 2. How much for charge? Well, Polish infantry inflicted damage. This is good news. So the Blitzkrieg managed to inflict a hit with the armored forces, and then the 2 infantry. Ha! They missed. Well, what do you know? So, both sides took a shot. So for the Poles, I'll take it out of the infantry. For the Germans, I'll take it out of the infantry. But the good news is, since it's equal hits, the attacker has to retreat. So, we'll have some weakened German forces thrown back to Poznan. And granted, some weakened Polish forces, but at least we're still holding our defensive perimeter, if you will. Okay. Alright. Need to get that Polish northern. Oh, hey, there you go. Asking you shall receive. Ah, it's too bad I didn't get the Polish offensive chit. There's a chit in here that allows the Poles to get +1 to their die rolls for attacks. So again, you know, part of what makes this game not only fun but very replayable is what order the chits come out and you know how you can maximize things. So it's also very solo friendly, which you know, I think any chit pool game is basically any kind of activation game where you don't know who's going to be the turn order and stuff. I think that's always very solo friendly. Okay. Alright, so, well, I don't feel like sitting still and rolling over and playing dead. It's not really in my nature. So screw it. Let's go wild. Let's go crazy. And take the elevator, break us down. Let's go into East Prussia. Screw them. Okay, here we go. Polish cavalry. Soldat. Nope, it's a 2. Polish infantry. Another 2, man. Alright, well you already know we're going to have to retreat even if the Germans miss. And they did. Okay. But, remember, if hits are tied, the attacker has to be the one to go home. Show me the way to go home. I'm tired and I want to go to bed. I had a little drink about an hour ago and it went straight to my head. Alright, this is a little foolhardy to be attacking this fort with a unit there, but foolhardy is all I think I have left with the Poles. The cavalry missed. Not surprising this game. It's just the dice are not falling my way. Wow, I'm getting so many 2s. I don't know what the number 2 is supposed to be here. Alright, the Germans, the armor formation, they missed. Ooh, good thing, because they rolled doubles. And then the fort, the fort missed too. Well, okay. Lots of sweat. Cursing, I'm sure, too. But not a whole lot of blood. Alright. Probably some tears also, but... Alright. Now, the only chits left in the cup are the 3 end chits, plus that Polish one that would give you a +1 to your attack. So basically, turn's all finished. So again, when the turn's all finished, we advance the turn marker. We flip over any recoveries. We take the chits that were all pulled from the cup this turn, and we put them back in the cup. Can't check for Soviet entry yet because it's not turn 5, but Germans just need one more victory space to pull that off. And I mean, basically they can threaten a couple of them here. You know, they can try to threaten here, this would be a good candidate too. So things are not looking good for Poland. Alright. Okay, so there you go. That gives you an idea of Poland Defiant. Again, similar, but slightly different. Little modifications to the system to make it applicable to what is one of the harder military campaigns to simulate. I know I did a video before about, gosh, what was the name of that game? Oh, Poland 39, The Nightmare Begins. And of course that one allows for some different variant possibilities too as well. But this plays easier, plays faster, there's lots of fun with the chit pool. So this I will keep in my collection as a good filler game. Which I need filler games nowadays because I'm bouncing all over the place. My interest in the World War II Mediterranean theater has kind of already waned. which that was quick. Usually when I go on a run, when I go on a tear, it's usually 2 or 3 months, sometimes 4 or 5, but not this time. I've already shifted, and I've been kind of indecisive. You know, kind of like that T-shirt. I used to be indecisive, but now I'm not so sure. So I kind of was ping-ponging everywhere, and then finally I was frustrated and went back to my old friend Alexander. So a book about Alexander the Great that I have not read yet. I started reading that the other day, and of course I pulled out some other ones. And there's been a thread on Board Game Geek about what's the best strategic / operational game on Alexander, which currently right now in my opinion is Field Commander Alexander. But it got me to thinking, you know, one of these days I'm going to probably design a game if I can ever quite make it work. I can't get everything to click. But I'm going to toy around with this. I got some ideas about Alexander that will kind of keep things not scripted, but stay within who he was and what he was trying to do, but also hopefully allow for some variables. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I'll keep you guys posted. If I can make it work, or if I can get something that seems like it's reasonably working, I'll share it with you guys and see what you think. We'll kind of go from there. Alrighty, so there you have it. One of the newer releases, this just came out last year from Holland. Oh yeah, I zoomed in a little bit because the new table is recessed. It's a 4-inch drop, man. From Holland Spiel, the White Eagle Defiant. Again, if you like Brave Little Belgium, I would highly recommend picking this up. Same system with some different tweaks, but very enjoyable. A lot of fun. Good game. So I would recommend it. Alright, so as always, this is Tim Korchnoi from Bare Bones Wargaming saying thanks for watching, and I will see you all next time. I don't know where or when. It depends. I do have some ancient games. I don't have as many ancient games in my collection as I used to anymore because it's kind of a time period that's kind of gotten shoved off to the side. It's definitely on the back burner. But, you know, maybe I'll do that, or hopefully, knock on wood, hopefully Absolute War, the Russian campaign, Carl's latest game, will hopefully be coming out either sometime later this month, get shipped, or early October. And once I get a handle on that, I will definitely share that with you guys. See if it's something that's an even easier, my understanding is it's an even easier, quicker game, the Russian front game, than No Retreat, which is pretty quick and easy overall. So we'll kind of see how that plays out. But I've already mentioned to Carl about producing a video for a playthrough and stuff, and of course he's graciously offered to take a look at it, you know, before I post it for you guys. So that's cool. So we'll do that sometime in the near future. All right, as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.